and I think we could include it in the work, but George Stoney is shown there for a very brief minute. He's the father of the public access television, and he said we need access to all forms of electronic media. And so in 1990, when the phone companies started to get into the video business, it became very clear to us that we needed to level the playing field for all telecommunications providers. And so we were fortunate enough to get some funding from the city and then a lot of grant funding to start the Old North End Community Technology Center. And that, the discovery of all of the people that had been working on the other side of the looking glass, liberating computer technology and then internet technology, was a huge revelation for us and allowed us to create partnerships with those people who have been working all over the country and to make the transition from being a public access or a PEG access community. We weren't community media, we were public access television, to become community media, to include different kinds of technologies, to liberate the means of production for all kinds of people, to pursue public policy in that direction, as well as to create literally a community technology center. That story, that's its own documentary. But that was happening between 1990 and 2000, 2005, and ultimately became, long story short, Common Good Vermont, which is a nonprofit support project for nonprofits across the state, delivered in an entirely new way that nonprofit associations are delivered. So there is a history of innovation in CCTV that goes beyond just the public access story, that I think the best leaders in the country have diversified in this way. And that question about funding, it was so funny. The reason I was laughing so loudly is that I have no idea. I completely forgot that interview. But when the guy says, "What do you do about money?" and then Nat just looks at me.
He's squirming in his chair the whole time. Yeah, the subtext there is so rich.
Yeah. I was the one that had to come up with the money. Yeah. And so he was, Nat, it was very funny. But we've been very successful in diversifying our revenue beyond cable TV, which has been necessary because cable TV revenue is going like this. So I just wanted to add that little story, which isn't told, but maybe we might fit it in somehow.
And sort of to build on LG's points, not only the necessary, the different landscapes, but also the type of production that Town Meeting TV primarily does has shifted. Going out to the community is definitely still part of it. Having people come to our studio is definitely still part of it. There was a shift in around 1990, correct, with the expansion of the government access component. A bulk of our work, just in terms of hours and in terms of the amount of programming, is mostly in municipal meeting coverage, which is just one cornerstone. All of the work is equally important, but it's one cornerstone, but it does happen to take up a lot of our times, and there's different requirements necessary for that, especially in a post-pandemic world, where not only are we recording it, but we are actively providing hybrid support. We are doing the groundwork to help not just get a recording of this out, but actively getting people participating over Zoom remotely, in addition to the people participating in there. And I know that's stuff that Miles, you have thousands of hours of footage, and there's a lot. It's impossible to put all of it in.
Yeah. And, I think it is really important in light of Orca being here. There are 24 community media centers in Vermont. So we're part of an entire network that produces 18,000 hours of programs a year. That's mind-boggling compared to what any other media outlet puts out. So we're working in partnership with these other centers, very closely for funding purposes, for sharing data and collaboration. And this pivot that happened during the pandemic in a week, it actually happened this week, 5 years ago, where we went from in-person meetings to Zoom-based meetings. In 5 days, 24 community media centers pretty much figured out how to do this and keep the wheels of democracy turning. So again, in terms of technological innovation, it's pretty impressive. So there is a story to tell there. Megan, anything else you want to add?
Why don't we do final? Yeah, let's do closing remarks from the participants. Folks, floor is yours to just address anything you want to address and send us on our way.
I'll say I really appreciate hearing from folks. Their, these specific thoughts, because it's got my wheels turning, which is what I wake up to do. So my wheels turn. So I appreciate that, and I think there is, just thank you to Miles for paying attention and for asking the questions and for being curious enough, and thank you to Laura and Glenn for building the foundation that we all get to play in and work in. And, huge thank you to Jordan and Stephen, who are carrying the bulk of that. It's there's no small point that Stephen says, we used to just go record meetings and then maybe we'd post-produce them 4 days, 5 days later. And while funding is going down, the demand for those services has been increasing. So these, there's a kind of busyness and a sort of drive that is important to also try to kind of push back on. There's idea that rest is revolutionary.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the revolution, yeah. So, thank you.
I would just say maybe Miles will bring that QR code back up before we leave. So while it's fresh in your mind, if you do have feedback, I think it's anonymous, so feel free to be as honest as you want. And please continue to enjoy the rest of your weekend, the festival. But while you do have these thoughts in your mind, if you can share them, it's just a Google form. I know that would be greatly appreciated by Miles and the crew. But thank you for being here.
Plus one to everything that everyone said. What I think is interesting about Miles's film, as it currently stands, and our work, this documentary is trying to encapsulate 40 years of really revolutionary work, and the work continues. We have a field producer in the back, Steve D. He's pounding the pavement every week. Travis, who I mentioned before, was covering an event with State Treasurer Mike Pichek today. The work, and Welch joined. So the work, and Bobby, who was our former development director, has now moved on to Vermont Public, but did insanely essential work and help diversify our funding sources in this great, amazing time of transition, on top of being one of the most gentle, heartfelt human beings I've ever met in my entire life. I don't have to see you every day, so I can be a little more what is fascinating about Miles' documentary is that it's sort of a living text of its own. Our archive is a living text. It's a living document. It's constantly being added upon and evolving. And I think Miles, it's a crazy thing that we do, and it's a crazy thing that Nat and LG built with a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and just pure adrenaline, joy, and bravery. Yeah.
And also, if you're curious about any of the archival footage you saw, reach out. cctv.org is our website, and I'd be happy to show you more of what the content actually is, not just little snippets. So we're always curious what the people find interesting in our archives.
Yeah, I just conclude by saying thank you to Alex Morrow, who is working with Miles. She's a little unsung, but she's been doing a lot of the work with him. So I just wanted to shout her out. And thank you.
That's right.
And thank you all for coming.
I was watching her.
These are dark times. Things have always been dark. It seems darkest right now, but the light that we shine and the work that we do is the darkness is dark because we're shining light so brightly. So just kind of try and keep that in mind. It's hard too, I know. And I could not be more proud of the people that I work with and the work that we've done. And to have you all here today is just a profound blessing. So thank you so much, and thank you, Miles.